Good morning, good evening, everyone. Welcome to GAI Insights, a daily AI news review where we mark articles essential, important, and optional so that you know where the main things are happening and where trending is happening. So you could follow along at gaiinsights.com/articles. Today we have some really cool use cases and new happenings, new announcements. And I have with me Adam Ankaj from our regular team and Ram Katamaraja, who has joined us several times and has wonderful insights to offer. He's the CEO of several companies, all working in data and AI analytics. All right, let's proceed with the first one, Ankash, please.
Sure, thanks, Luda. So the first one comes from Meta, and they have launched the Llama 4 Herd.
Tremendous. Adam, you you know all these models and experiment with them. What do you think about this huge model from Meta?
In some ways, it's an evolution, right? And in some ways, it's absolutely extraordinary. Maybe an everyday miracle. So Llama 4 is the latest models from Meta. The smallest of them, which is absolutely extraordinary, has 10 million in context length, right? Oh, by the way, right, it's the herd of llamas. That's why they're calling this the latest herd, which I don't mind at all. But 10 million context length, which is just massive on the Scout. And then which is like their small, fastest model. And then they have the Maverick, which is more in competition with like the GPT-4os. And then they have Behemoth, which is not released yet and is still being trained even further. But the other two are distillations of it. And Luda, we've definitely talked quite a bit about this trend with distilling models and making smaller, more cost-efficient versions of them at different scales. It's interesting the way they go with the mixture of experts as well. Like this 400 billion Maverick model actually runs at 17 billion active parameters. So they're finding ways to get more out of less, to make it more efficient. Another big deal is that it is truly multimodal. So the inference, whether it's text or image, to what we were speaking about before, about all that unstructured data that's out there, it won't matter what format the data is in. It's going to be a lot easier to work with it. Great multi-language support. A bunch of great news out of Meta today. And Microsoft Azure Foundry is already making it available. Right. So this is a win for everyone that's out there building, and certainly important news.
Important, not essential. Yeah. I was erring on essential. What did you think, Ram?
Yeah, I am more towards essential. So this is one. Basically, when DeepSeek came out, they were using mixture of experts approach, as far as my knowledge goes. And we were looking forward to a solid product out of United States, and Llama is like one of those. And also last year, I've been involved with a couple of product developments where mixture of experts has been the fundamental approach to it, to provide more accurate data. And basically, like when we are working with any enterprise data, it's more you need like more deterministic data than probabilistic data. So mixture of experts like guides you more towards that, getting like a better quality outputs. So from that, and there's a lot of literature around MOE. So this is like a really interesting release from Llama to see it out there. And a couple of people from the Llama team have been telling that they've been working on it and it's going to be amazing. And at least for now, like Adam mentioned, all the features and the context and ability to control it as a developer is amazing. But at the same time, for leaders, this is I would say if leaders are like struggling to figure out which OpenAI software to use, do they use Quen or do they use DeepSeek or the others, this is like the answer from my perspective. So definitely essential read.
Yeah, so I was going at it, thank you, Ram, but I was going at it for essential is because this is a very much used, Llama is a very much used model because it's open source, right? So a couple of statistics. In March 25, they surpassed 1 billion downloads. This is the growth from 650 million downloads in December 24, and that is a 153% increase just in 3 months. So by just the sheer presence of these models out there, this is an essential news for people, I think. Adam, okay with essential?
I'm okay with essential. It's funny. That's part of why I thought only important is all the people who are using the latest models from Meta all the time are going to know about this anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
Like for our AI leader, like what does this mean? What does this mean? Well, Meta's still competitive with everyone else, and if you're in a place where you're using Meta or where you're using whatever the best latest model is, there's another one at the top, debatably, of different leaderboards. It's incremental improvement. It is building on other things, as Ram said, and he makes some good points in terms of the innovation. But it's not earth-shattering compared to others. It's not incredibly cheaper than the others. It is a good alternative to Chinese open source. But most of the people who are looking for alternatives are probably going to be aware of this. So I felt important, not necessarily something to raise alarms about necessarily, but I certainly would support it also.
Okay, let's mark it essential because of the, just if we say important, people will wonder what happened with us. And all this reasoning is good reasoning, but standing back from the market, it's an essential, I think, essential news. Okay, essential it is. Let's proceed to the next one, Ankash.
Sure, Luda. So the next one talks about the updates to Microsoft Copilot.
Yeah, this is with the letter from the CEO and announcing this, and then a very comprehensive what is the functionality and the like. Ram, what do you think about this one?
I think Mustafa Suleiman did like an amazing job, right? So this is pretty much, I'm assuming this is a product for the every Windows consumer that's out there, right? So they piece together all the tools that AI can support, a personal assistant can support, and like giving it together as a package. Like when initially when I heard Apple Intelligence, I thought probably it's going to be more like this. However, like when I saw this, wow, this is amazing. This is like amazing tool. It's releasing more like a Windows desktop for the first time, like where everything is integrated, sort of. So from that standpoint, also I think this also indicates that the product developers, tech leaders, and have to like start looking at how to make their products more LLM friendly, because when people like start using this, assuming that this is going to be successful, when people start using this, they are going to have all the searches like right before them within their Copilot ecosystem very close to them. So they have to figure out how to reorganize their products and services to feed into this ecosystem. So I feel that from that standpoint, it's an essential for leaders to know.
Okay, Adam, what did you think? Essential. So Ram suggests essential. What did you think?
Yeah, I was between important and essential. There's so many people in enterprise that use Copilot, and it's a fairly seamless experience as a Copilot user to go between enterprise and effectively personal interaction with it. That this is going to be so deeply embedded in so many people's lives, and it is well laid out. There are a ton of announcements in there. On the flip side, that this is a ton of product announcements from Microsoft, and they're things we have other places as well. They have packaged them together quite nicely. In many ways, this is kind of the new foundation for what they're trying to bring to market. And it is, I'm pretty sure, if I understand correctly, available to everyone. This is just the Copilot chat, which you can get just through your browser. So this isn't an M365 licensing thing. It's just them coming hard to market with a bunch of great features.
Yeah, I would support Essential wholeheartedly for several reasons. One is just a personal experience. Lucinda Lindy, who is one of our guest reviewers, organizes a sort of a sharing experience between a very small group of women every Saturday or Sunday. And one of the topics I was invited to join, and one of the topics was a digital twin. Let's build a digital twin for ourselves. Why would you want a digital twin, right? Because if you are like posting all the time, if you teach models to know who you are, and then use that of your style, your topics, a lot of things about you, and then you post some more, the LLM can be way, 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 way more supportive and more useful, right? So this is even broader than a digital twin. It gets a lot of information about you and like. So I think this is important. We will review the article next, where the group of folks, researchers, hypothesize that how our agents will become more intelligent is how they will essentially learn about the world from the interactions with others, the LLMs, and the teams. So working together with their like digital twins, here we go, right? So that's how they will learn to have the imprint of the world and in real time. So this is all in the future, but this is the first step in getting there. And so I was very excited about this and marked it as essential. Okay.
Yeah. So it's also a directionality towards what Ramesh Raskar from MIT talks about, decentralized AI. And like Ash, we just got a comment that says, I think employees want to bring their personal co-pilots to office as well. So yeah, this is like right in that direction.
Right. And she certainly agrees with us. Okay, great. So market is essential and proceed to essentials. Yoo-hoo!
Next one comes from Hugging Face and talks about advances and challenges in Foundation Agent.
Yeah. So this is a survey, right? Yeah. So keep it here on the top, Ankaj, right? So look at the 25 authors. No, the next one, the PDF. 25 authors, I think led by the Hong Kong University, and all academics, but in survey of what's happening with our agents, and from the point of view of LLMs being the engines of the overall agent, right? So it's the engine of a car versus the whole car, or the guts of the agent, but not the whole agent. And they go through the various components of what is needed to make the agents really autonomous. And this is where they talk about the world, how you build the picture of the world, how you communicate with the world, and whether what is needed in LLMs to get to that functionality. It's a fascinating paper. It is 200 pages. So I hesitate to even mark it as important, but I think it is important for people to read it. I certainly put it aside to read it through, because it has a great bibliography. And it really gives you the state of the agents and LLM at this moment and what needs to happen to get it to become really autonomous. What did you think about this, Adam?
Yeah, Luda, I thought it was a deep read, and as you're talking, I can agree and understand about the importance of it. That doesn't even mean they have to read it, but to at least catch the idea of what it is, I think it's worthwhile to flag. there is a lot to it, and it is both broad and deep. It is extensive research into four very very big areas of study. So a lot may come from this as well, which is great. And for an AI leader to at least see the title and check out the abstract and would be good for them to be aware of.
Yeah, and Lucinda chimes in saying, "Look, you can make a notebook LM to get the stuff in from it." Ram, okay with important for this one?
Yeah. I mean, originally I was optional just because of the length of it, and also it didn't have too many. It's more conceptual rather than practical, real world scenarios. I thought it's optional, but I'm okay to vote for important because it's definitely an interesting read, and like have a idea about how the world AI world is evolving. So
Yeah. And where do we need to really push to get it to the agents to be even smarter? All right, let's mark it important and proceed.
Okay, the next one comes from Midjourney, and they have a version 7 alpha update.
Yeah, Adam, you are a fan of Midjourney. What do you think?
I'm a fan of Midjourney, but I'm not a user, actually. I've never paid for the subscription. I got my free trial whenever it was. It was probably V3 at the time. I've stayed close to many people who do use it daily in their workflows. And for those people, this has been expected, and it's good news. And it's going to continue to evolve. They said over, I think, the next 60 days to expect a bunch of additional updates. It's great for those users. I don't think it's even important more broadly. One of the great things is there's a draft mode now. So not only can you render images at half the cost, but it's also at 10 times the speed, which is phenomenal. There are other models as well where there's like a very quick mode that's low cost and very fast. That's a pretty standard thing. It's something Midjourney has needed for quite a while. So that's great news. There's some other new features. The quality is, of course, amazing. In the latest model from the leader in terms of textures and photorealism and styles. But probably overall, it's optional news for the AI leader.
Okay. Yeah. Ram, what did you think? Agree?
Yeah, I agree with Adam. For the Midjourney users, this is as Sora and other tools have come up in the last couple of weeks, which became like viral. This is like a sigh of relief that they are ahead of the curve compared to the others. I don't think like people's behavior would drastically change, and the people who are using Midjourney this is like a really good addition for them, improvement for them, and new features that are coming up.
Yeah.
So I would mark it as optional.
Yeah, optional. All right. I'm in total agreement. It is. I think Midjourney was when at the beginning was a wonder, and now it's almost a catch up for them with version 7 with other tools that are out there. Okay, optional it is. Let's proceed, Ankash. Thank you.
The next one comes from McKinsey, and it talks about unlocking profitable B2B growth through GenAI.
Great. So it's in McKinsey's style. They talk about the growth area with not that many enterprises in their survey actually doing it yet, unfortunately. So this is an article trying to convince more people to deploy it. What did you think about this, Ram?
Yeah, I think it's a very well written a set of use cases, which essentially giving a directionality for enterprises how to use it as part of the empowering their sales team. So one of the typical challenges with the people involved in sales is they may not be like fully technical, may or may not use the how to bring together various tools to produce what the material or content that is required. So this is the set of use cases that they have is provides like good directionality. And funny enough, like yesterday I was having a dinner with a friend who works in federal space, and we were having like some of the challenges. I didn't read this, even though you sent even though you sent the article before. Prior to that meeting, I did not read this, and after the meeting, I came back and we were discussing half of these use cases. How do we like really implement these things, and what should we do? And like I sent it later in the night. So I think from a business owners, enterprises and large enterprises, as well as medium small businesses, this is like a good directionality how to bring together various Gen AI tools and use cases so that they can empower their sales team for growth.
Yeah. Adam, so important, Ram, you're putting important or optional?
No, definitely important.
Important.
Maybe essential.
Okay, maybe essential. Adam, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. It has tons of great use cases. I don't know how much of this could actually have been done by just asking an AI to sort of break it into 7 good categories, and it feels very high level to me. What you and your colleague were discussing at length is how do you actually then implement and get forward with these use cases, which I found was lacking. This felt to me like giving people a lot of ideas of what they could do, but actually not the directionality in terms of how to actually go forward with them. If instead they had just taken 7 and said, here's how you can actually build something that can do that, or how you could begin to apply that, I probably would have leaned more heavily into the value here. I think it could support it. Important. It does highlight a very good spectrum of use cases through the well-written article, but not enough for me to really warrant more than that.
Yeah, I'm also on important because it's if you are still stuck for some reason, there might be objections, there might be non-believers, there might be scary cats that are worried about security and the like in the company. So you need to overcome all of those things. So this article, I think, is positioned on stating the use cases, specifically defining them, and stating the benefits, if you were to implement them, what you can get. So I think that I think they positioned it this way specifically. So it is in Tim's, Andrew's lingo, it's the back pocket, top pocket, whatever it is. So important, I thought.
Yeah, so if I may add, like another aspect of this is which John is promoting, like WINS framework as well as own your intelligence, right? So this is kind of like, okay, this use cases fall into this WINS framework within an enterprise, right? As well as the use cases can be developed by owning your intelligence. It's not third party. So that's bringing those. It provides directionality towards that. I agree with Adam that it doesn't provide detail of how you do it. That's really up to the enterprise to figure it out. Hopefully, some use cases with details will come out soon. And we actually discussed like some of the details of how we could implement these things at the dinner. So it was kind of like interesting for me to just come back and see, this is interesting that they're publishing this use case.
That's good. Okay, so let's mark it important and proceed to the last one, Ankash, please.
The last one is a AWS case study, which talks about how AWS sales uses GenAI to streamline account planning.
Yeah, this is coming from AWS use cases, and they used their own group, AWS sales, in account plans, in large accounts. And this is I marked it as important because it has the implementation. It's not as clear about the impact, but they talk about the case of preparing account plans for the account managers. So it's large companies that they're working with that might have many locations, many divisions, many different implementations. So putting it together into the overall plan used to get them to spend 40 hours per customer, right? And so they implemented this the way for the bot to assistant and to get the all of the information into a draft and then get the person to review it. So there's technical structure of how you would do it at the bottom also. So all of those components are in there. With the reason I wanted to put it as important, and maybe Ankash, you scroll it to this technical diagram of how they put it together. What I liked about it, it's essentially a semantic layer on top of your information. So it puts, at the moment, it has a chore of putting together a draft of the account plan. But from it, you could, since you pulled all of the information on top of the CRM and other documents per this customer, you now can be much wiser on how you deal with that customer and work with this customer. So it is an added benefit, and we'll see more and more of that. It's sort of like a 2D CRM goes 3D and adds more value. So that's why I thought that this case kind of marks that transition into a different value category for account managers. So that's why I put it as important. What did you think about this, Adam?
Spot on, Luda. I would have liked to see a little more of the specific value that was driven by it and the outcomes. But they've done a great job, like they do often. This idea there, what do they call it? The glue jobs, the things in purple here, which is really interesting. That idea of having these external sources that actually are feeding into both of your knowledge base and your internal data sources to help support. It is a really nice model. There are certainly some good things that could be learned from this. I support important for sure.
Okay. Ram, okay with important?
Yeah, okay with important. Just wanted to highlight like one thought that came that I observed, like when I was going through it in the McKinsey use case. They talk about next best action as one of the use cases that sales teams can use. So this is kind of like one of those next best action thing, even though they're doing the yearly planning. So it's really like, okay, how do you continue to follow up with the customer? So I kind of felt that this is an extension of the previous article, at least one of the implementation of one of the use cases. So definitely it's important.
Okay, let's mark it as important. And Ankash, if you can prepare a scorecard here. We have, I think, 2 essentials, 3 importance, and 1 optional. This is a Monday to remember. This almost never happens on Monday. Yeah,
That's
indeed.
true.
Yeah, this Monday is usually quiet. This is great. And Lucinda is talking about a hack with Ramesh at MIT yesterday. So there's lots of hacks happening. And this is quite stunning that that's how people internalize these new developments. So thank you all thank you, Ram, for participating. Adam, Ankash, this was wonderful. Great article, great selection. And we'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.